Want a chip?
All right.
I talked you into it.
You did, thank you.
What's already been taken?
13, no, sorry, 10, 38, 11, 19, 16, 5, 3, and 36.
I got one!
Shut up.
Following last week's feature, the car was in pretty rough shape.
There was 8 laps to go, and the driver to the inside of me got hit from behind, got loose, and his right rear came out and hit my left rear. Which caused me to do a little slow spin around the racetrack, and the driver that hit him got into my left front, which sent me around, and I think somebody else hit me from the other side, but I honestly can't really remember.
We hemmed and hawed whether we were going to be able to get it into the trailer. The whole front end was jammed over and jacked up, so it's a real tight fit into the trailer as is, but we got the winch hooked up, we were able to drag it in. We cleared everything we need to clear. We cleared off some material over top of the fender so we could get the car in. And it was a pretty rough looking piece.
Fortunately, I have amazing crew and an amazing dad who worked on my car all day Sunday while I was at work. And come Monday and Tuesday night, it was just me and dad in the garage getting ready for practice on Wednesday. So we did all we could to get the car ready and back to how it was on Saturday when the car was feeling amazing. And once we did that, we loaded it up Tuesday night, and then we hit the track Wednesday, and everything was perfect.
Fortunately, the majority of the damage was all cosmetic. The front bumper was pushed over, a couple of support pieces were pushed over, the rad box was jammed up, but there was no actual suspension damage, there was no structural damage, it was everything just from the bumper bars forward, which was fortunate for us. Junk than your other tires did, Kendra. So that's why it's extremely important when you get out there to clean them off good. And if you do happen to get off track or get up into the marbles, you really have to.
Last week in practice, I hit the sand going into 1-2 because I was up at the wall still for so long, and I thought I was going to junk my car. 100% junk. 86? Uh-huh. Why is it so big?
Right side tires.
And what's the tire pressure?
24. Well, they stayed consistent, those tires, because that one was about 1/8 of an inch bigger the whole time since we swapped them. So it's nice to see that the tires have stayed consistent as far as what they're getting with their size. So, and it's nice we've been able to play with the left rear and the right rear to keep that 3.5 stagger. You know what we were going to do though is raise that panhard bar to get you turning in the center.
Okay, how much?
So let's do that 1/2 inch. We need this tire off a little bit. Take out.
That's one turn.
Keep going until I tell you to stop.
What?
Can't go up as far as I'd like to here, but adjustment.
177.
47.
47. So every year they give you a certain allotment of tire tickets. This year we have a lot less because we're running the 10-inch tires, which are supposed to last a lot longer and survive more heat cycles. So with the 10-inch tires we get less tickets, but they do last longer. So right now I'm just writing on our tickets the compound, which is the different chemicals that are made for each tire, and then each tire has a serial number as well. So both of those just goes on this pretty little ticket, and then this goes into an inventory. And if somebody goes up to tech and says, hey, I think Kendra's running too many tires a year, then they look at the book and they make sure everything matches up, as well as if you finish top 5 in the future and you go through tech, they make sure that the tires that you have registered in your book, one of those, every tire on your car has a ticket to match that. Hello.
Hello.
Want a chip?
All right.
I talked you into it.
You did, thank you.
What's already been taken?
13, no, sorry, 10, 38, 11, 19, 16, 5, 3, and 36.
I got 1!
Shut up.
Damn! I hope I win.
Number 1.
Did you hear me tell you to pull one?
See, that's because you gave me a chip.
Because that's my good karma. That's good karma. Thank you. He won.
Now keep in mind, the tires aren't hot. You're going to have to build up pressure before they run as well as you want them to run.
Okay.
Your car's still going to be too light for the heat race right now. So if you want your best shot at winning the heat race, my bet would be to run another practice with those new tires, run them in and see how well they fit, and possibly run them in the heat if that's something that you're interested in doing, but we have to put a little bit more weight in your car. Into one big jam now. Jam, jam, jam. You pull the 54 coming out of the apex. He gains a car length coming into 3 and rolls the center. Big jam off here, right to the wall. Half back, no pressure, hit your mark. Little wider entry. Big jam now. Big jam all the way. Half car back, 1 car back. Slide back to the 54. No pressure now. Hit your mark.
Now, because we have the pool, is we're going to be looking at who else is going to be around us in our heat, and if we think that we have a decent shot, of making it into tech and winning the race, we're going to try and put on our new tires for one of our practices, and then use that in our qualifying heat, so we have brand new tires on. So if we find that that's great for the car, then we're going to do that and see if we have a shot at the heat race win. If not, if we think that we're kind of like have a lot of competition, then what we're going to do instead is just take these same tires and roll on with those and see if we can get a top 4, which hopefully we can starting from the pole. This is where not only we're looking at our own car, but we're looking at people around us.
Big jam now, big jam all the way. Half car back, 1 car back, slide back to the 54, no pressure now. Take the bottom, jam it all the way out now. Hard, 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 hard. It's a little tight to get a couple laps in here. Come on, last track back.
Better that time.
Yeah, she didn't like it at all.
No?
I hated it. It felt horrible.
Don't you hate it when it's so good, when it's bad?
I'm like it felt horrible.
Yeah, I know.
And I hit the racetrack on this side, on the skirt, for sure. And it felt like I might have hit a little underneath, but...
Okay, well, we're going to set the wear indicator.
Oh, yeah, feel this, Dad.
Yeah, okay.
What'd you say? We're going to do
I'm
what?
just saying, if you're hitting that, and we haven't before, it means you're like getting more body roll and you're actually getting some lean into the car because we're getting the front end down.
I'm struggling because I don't know what to tell you, because if it's good, I'm confused as to why I feel like it's horrible, because that's the worst it's felt since it came off the, out of the garage this year.
Okay.
But
if you were to say I wanted to do something different, what would you say?
I want to free it up in the center. It's like, so if you go 1, 2, 3 is the apex 4, 5,
yeah.
2 to 4 it's tight, and I can't get on it until like 6 because. Maybe 5, but I can't get on it because I'm like not in a good position to be on the gas. And it was getting a little loose coming around when I was trying to. So it was pushing, or like loose from the push.
Well, you want to go up another ½ inch on the panhard bar?
Yeah.
12, 13. Well, what do you think? We can make some changes. We can take that spring rubber back out.
Mm-hmm. Take it out, because...
What else did we do? We moved the panhard bar up, so it'll help you turn a little bit, roll a little bit through the center.
Well, that did not work. There's so much wheel in the car that it's just ridiculous that it's like that. Like, I just don't understand why there's so much wheel in the car, and I don't think I've ever had that in this late model.
Okay. Do you think you might be getting in hotter than you have been in the past because the car's more stable? The car looked good. I know it looked a little tight for the first few laps in the last practice as well as in the second practice, but it certainly seemed to get a little better as you ran, and I don't know if that was the car coming around or if that was you kind of changing your line.
I think I changed my line, but I just don't know how it's going to work in the feature because, or not even in the feature.
Your heat race?
Feature or heat, I don't know, but like, I don't know if I can run the line that I was running because people are just going to come in and hit my left rear if I do that because it's so wide. So the phrase that I was using, too much wheel, just means that if normally I turn my wheel from here to here, I'm putting a lot more in so that when you get on the gas, your wheels are turned so you want to spin out. So just having too much wheel, it really upsets the car all the way around the corner because you're upsetting it in the middle. It doesn't want to turn, and because of that, you have so much wheel in the car that you can't get on the gas until you're finished the corner and you're back straight.
So today's format's a little different than we've run in the last year of late model. Instead of doing time trials and then 2 35-lap features, it looks as though they're going to do one single 10-lap heat qualifying race, and then we won't run again till the end of the night, and we're going to do a 60-lap feature. So the challenge is going to be to set the car up for a short 10-lap heat race in the day, and then worry about 2 hours later, the sun goes down, the temperature drops, and we're going to run a 60-lap feature race. So we've got to look at a short run versus potentially a very long run. There's going to be weight loss with the fuel burn. We do get a weight break for tech after the features, so we have to be cognizant of that and make sure that we have enough lead in the car, that we're not going to be underweight in the heat race should she finish up front. So there's a lot to be considered here as far as how we need to start our heat race, where we want to be early versus maybe we want to start the feature and then have the car come to us later in the race when you're really going to be able to pick up some spots as some other guys maybe start burning up their car if you've got a car that then comes to you towards the end of the feature. So something new to this team for sure. We haven't run a lot of long distance races, so this is something that we're certainly going to take a swing at. Struggled a little bit in practice today, went out for all 3 practices, and Kendra just wasn't as comfortable in the car as she's been in the past. Really struggled right in the center, especially early on in the run, but then the car came in towards 7, 8, 9 laps into the run. So I think we might be decent for the heat race and definitely decent for the feature because the car really came to once it got hot and the tires got up to operating pressure. So we're going to take a swing at it. We made a couple of small changes for the heat race here that's coming up, and then we'll look to see how well that ran at the start versus the finish and throw something at it for the feature. Looking forward to tonight. Going green here, buddy. Going green. Green, 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 green. Give her all the way. Dig, dig, dig. Outside, just outside. One, back. No pressure behind. Outside, just outside. 31 outside. Dig. Clear all around. Clear all around. 31 diamond outside. Outside. One back to the 14. No pressure from the 14. Outside. Clear all around. Clear all around. Be wide. No pressure. One back. No pressure. 2 right behind. 1 back.
I started on the pole and I know there was 2 really fast cars right beside me and right behind me, so I knew that they were going to get by me for sure. I was hoping to have a top 6 to get in the invert. Unfortunately, I ended up falling back to, I think, 8th. Not a great start for me, definitely, but it could have been worse.
Green, 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 green. Big dig, big dig. Outside, outside on your bumper. Outside only. Dig, dig, dig. Big pull. On your bumper. Block. Clear in. Hit your mark. On. No pressure. Hit your mark here. Hit your mark.
It felt a little bit better than what I was expecting it to from the other races. I think we're still at a tight, loose situation, which is definitely not great. But as the race did go on, we were feeling better, and I feel a lot more confident if I get to be on the outside lane. Unfortunately, I was on the bottom lane that whole race. So hopefully we can hop up on the upper groove and just cruise around like we did last week.
Keep taking deep breaths. Hold down, come down. Bring in center flag here. Hold the spot. Hold the bottom. 25 looking outside.
I know myself that I am not a good heat race runner or qualifier. We already know this from season 1. But I am great at the long run. So hopefully being able to save myself in this 60-lap race, as well as just outrunning some of the other cars and other people, will definitely be up on the plate, I think, for us. Tonight's a 60-lap race. This is our first 60-lap event of the year. We normally run twin 35 races, but today we're doing a 60-lap, which means a little bit more strategy, more time to be patient, and me having a car that comes in the longer I race and being a driver that has more long-run confidence. This is going to be an awesome race for our team. I think that our car is going to come in great, and I think that we're going to have a really good piece here. We haven't had the best car all today. We had a great car last week, but we've been struggling with a tight loose issue today. So hopefully coming into the race, everything heats up, we do great, and everything kind of comes together for our setup. Hopefully that's the main goal, but if not, we're just going to preserve our stuff. We're going to outrun the other people out there, and we're still going to get a great finish.
Just a very minor air pressure adjustment. I think the car is going to come into you. We got 60 laps to work here, Kenny.
Okay.
If it's not working early, we'll ride it out as best we can. If it comes, I'm pretty confident it'll come around to you. And if not, if it's really bad and we get a caution, we'll come in and make an adjustment, okay? Okay. 60 laps is a lot of time to work.
I don't know if you've heard this language before, but falling out of the seat is used by a lot of drivers when people aren't used to running longer races. So when you do 35 laps all the time, you get accustomed to running 35 laps, and your body and your mind runs 35 laps, and sometimes you just can't handle that and you fall out of the seat when you run longer races. So you mentally and physically have to prepare yourself to run the longer races, as well as save your equipment, or else you're gonna have a big problem when halfway through the race you burnt up your tires, your brakes are too hot, and now you're kind of at a point where you're not able to compete the same way as you would have if you hadn't have fallen out of the seat and you had have taken better care of your equipment.
Yeah, first 60 lapper in a late model tonight for Kendra, and only our second night of racing this year. The car wasn't the greatest off the start. We tried a couple different changes, small changes before that feature started, just to try to get the car run a little better. We knew that it was going to be a long run that we needed to have the car come in. So she struggled early, and then once the car got settled up, she was able to make up a couple of spots, and some really quality cars out there. So at that point, the field had kind of got away from her, and she tracked down a number of cars out in the field. With only a handful of cautions, one early and one late, there was a long, long green flag run.
Lapper went great. I do like the longer races, but at the same time I almost I definitely fell out of the seat. You heard that earlier. I fell out of the seat, but my dad comes over the radio, hey, it's halfway, and I was like, really? That's it? But we had a little bit of time to make it up. So our setup was weird. We're fighting kind of a weird problem just because I'm not quite sure where the problem is, or if it's because it's tight or if it's just loose. So we're fighting a weird problem, but that's okay. We'll work into it and we'll fix it for the next time I'm out. I had a great race. I had tons of fun racing with the 98 Nick Montanari. That was a ton of fun. He's a rookie this year. So respectful, great family. Like, they are awesome to race with because they are true racers themselves. So I love doing that, as well as racing just against a lot of the really, really talented teams. It feels great to know that a family-owned, like, small budget team like us can compete with those people again this year. So that's always a plus. And it was, I wouldn't say a rough race, but it was a little bit of a rough race where some people just, I've been known to back out of situations that most drivers wouldn't, and now I've said, hey, I'm not going to do that anymore. We are running a limited schedule, so we're not in it for points this year. So no more, I need a good points finish. We're racing for fun, good races, and good finishes. We're not racing for points or money anymore. So that's kind of what we're in it, and we showed that on the track tonight when we were up to another driver's door and they came down on us going into the corner. They had a car on their outside, so we were actually 3 wide, and we went down. I was in the grass in our turns 1 and 2, and I came out of it the lead car out of us 3. So I really think that goes to show that I'm really not going to back out of things, and I will make those more aggressive moves. I don't think I've ever put anybody else 3 wide before, but after racing behind those people and knowing that I was faster than them during that race, I thought that it needed to be done. I waited long enough, and I was patient.
Very happy with the quality of driving that we see at Kendra so far this year. You could say a little bit of aggression. That being said, in the past, she's often been one to back out of things, not wanting to be involved or get aggressive. So certainly nothing but being aggressive and being clean, hard racing. And that's what I saw tonight. We've seen it on both ends. We got a left rear that says so. We got our right front that says so. So there was no malicious intent on anyone's part. There was hard racing, no doubt about it. And overall, no cars were spun around, no cars were damaged other than a little bit of paint missing front and back. That's short track racing. It's respectful on the driver who's in front. It's also respectful on the driver who's in the back to say there's a little bit, I'm coming, I'm faster, let me go, or I'm a little bit faster, I'll see what I can do without wrecking you or roughing myself up. So overall, very, very happy with the way Kendra drove today and what she's showing on the racetrack now in her second year only as a late model driver.
So at the beginning of the race, the car came in a little bit weird. It just wasn't handling very well. And about lap 20 to 35, it was probably the best it was. And then after that, it started to drop off again. After we made that 3 wide pass, which was, it was really good for us, but it really put a big spread on me and the cars behind me, which allowed me to just run. I wasn't even running full throttle because we were so far away from the back of the pack. I was just trying to save my brakes because I felt like they were going away a little bit, and I'm glad I did because we had a caution with 6 to go, and I could definitely feel the difference of having less brake when we went back, and I had to be on the bottom. That was a little crazy, having to hold it down because the leaders had actually spun just to bring out that caution. So having that spin and then having the leaders at the back is one of the scariest things, only because you know they're angry, they're fired up, and they want their spots back. So having to come and hold your position, it's a little bit scary when you know that your equipment might not be the best. So I'm glad we saved the brakes a little bit when we were just running out there in the middle. My dad said I gained about 7 car lengths on the cars behind me, and I was catching the rest of the pack. Again, I didn't run as hard as I normally would, but I knew that I needed to save tires because I wasn't going to catch the group in front of me anyways. So I think we did a great job with what we had, and as far as we were struggling with setup all day, to come out and have a decent car and be able to show people, hey, I'm not here to be pushed around, I think that was a win for us.